Welcome to another episode of SpeakUp, LightUp. If you are an entrepreneur, oncepreneur, or simply a person who wants to build life based on your own terms and conditions, you are investing your time right. In the previous episode, we were talking about how to reconnect with yourself, build a deep self-belief, as well as a resilience, especially if you had to go through some setbacks and made mistakes in the past. If it's something that you need to hear today, go and check the previous episode with the Queen, Sandy Saxena. I will link this episode somewhere here. Otherwise, check the description box. Are you ready for a new, exciting episode? Let's go. Today, we'll continue a conversation about the infinite mindset that I believe every leader should walk on, focusing on endurance and resilience when it comes to the game of business. And with a great pleasure, I would love to introduce our very special guest today, who is tuning in all the way from Singapore, Thaddeus Lawrence, founder of the Coaching Hand. Thaddeus Lawrence is one of Asia's leading and most respected coaches. And over the last 14 years, he has helped over 150,000 individuals create massive results in their work and achieve financial and personal success. Through his training and coaching engagement across 20 plus countries, he leads also a community that provides a set of tools, strategies, and resources for those who want to make a fortune while making a difference in the world. Hi, Thaddeus. Thank you for
Valerie.
being here today.
Absolutely delighted. The beautiful world of tech that brings the world together, and you being in Europe, me being here in Asia. Absolutely looking forward to this session, Valerie.
Well, thank you for your time and contribution to our community. I do believe you have a treasure of wisdom, experience, and knowledge that will definitely inspire our audience today in this episode. So, Simon Sinek is talking about the infinite game of business that you actually cannot win, because the win is not the end goal, not the end result. And you also cannot win, for example, marriage or friendship or love that combines everything that I have just mentioned. From the perspective of being an endurance athlete, what will be your viewpoint on it?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. The infinite game of business, right? Which suggests that it never really ends, right? Just like, from the world of extreme running or endurance sport, it appears that there is a finish line, and there is a physical finish line. We know when we've finished the race. However, while we might all be standing in the same on the start line of the same event, everyone is running their own race, which is to say that everyone has got their own finish line. For some, the finish line is about crossing the finish line in front of everybody else. For some, it could be, I just want to be in the top 10, right? For some, it could be, I just want to finish this race. For some is, I want to finish this race and walk away with a ton of experiences that I wouldn't have had otherwise. For some, it's about finishing the race, crossing the finishing line, and then going back in one physical piece. So we've all got our own finish lines. And at the same time, that finish line is not the finish line. It's probably the milestone, which is to say there's another finish line, another finish line, another finish line. And you can see that in the world of sports, where you could be breaking your personal best, you could be breaking a record, or you could be winning the medal. 2 minutes later, someone's going to come up to you and go, so what's next? And I guess it's the same in the world of business. We hit those milestones, whatever those milestones may be. It could be in the form of scaling, how many employees we want to have, or how many regions or how many markets we enter, or it could be some kind of revenue or income goal, or it could be a number of customers and clients. Inevitably, there's be, okay, great, we'll celebrate this milestone. Now, what's next? So I can see where Simon Sinek is coming from in the sense of the infinite world or infinite game of business, because ultimately when we look at business, it's about solving a problem, isn't it? The business is, and we're not talking about the kind of instant gratification type, seizing the opportunity of the moment. I guess, with COVID coming on a couple of years ago, it seemed like overnight we had a bunch of experts, right, popping out of nowhere. Someone's a business expert, someone's a digital marketing expert. You kind of go like, I've never heard of you before. Where did you come from?
Yes.
And
Exactly.
as quickly as they arrived, as quickly as they have disappeared, right? So that's not what you're talking about here when we're talking about business. I think business is here to solve a problem. The business here is to serve a need. The business is here to, really improve the world and improve mankind. And to that end, there's always another finish line. There's always another finish line. There's always another finish line, Valerie.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's what all entrepreneurs should start thinking about, because I don't know, I see a lot of people of, like, let's say recent generations who are hunting for some shortcuts, who are hunting for just like 1 minute opportunities. And also, I mean, it's fine. That's if it's your milestone, it's your goal, fine. But from the other side, the whole concept of life, if it's just a combination of physical and spiritual, it's also an infinite process. And just going through all this, like connecting all these things, the concept of success, what you're building and living up to yourself in this world, bringing you to the level, like asking yourself the right questions. What are you bringing here with your business? What kind of, as you said, problems are you solving? And eventually, what is your footprint? Is it just like appear during some particular time and just like disappear? Or is it something you're building on a constant long-term basis to really make difference and change? So
I think if one could go into business and say an entrepreneur could come into business and say, oh, it's all about me. I want to leave a legacy. I want people to remember me as, and it's all about me, which really is a very small game, right? Versus, well, what is the problem I'm trying to solve here? What is the business vision, right? And one thing to understand here is that the vision will never be realized in our own lifetime, right? Which is to say that that's a far bigger game than simply, oh, I'm going to become a millionaire, or I'm going to become a billionaire, whereby, well, there's a finish line. That's it. There's a game. There's only so far. Well, we say that, but I think there's only so far whereby you can be motivated by ballooning your own ego, right? By having a business vision or vision for the world, using business as a vehicle or a platform. That's something that is way bigger than about, oh, I want to be known as, or I want to be remembered as. Well, there's an expiry date to people remembering you.
Yeah, that's true. But coming back to resilience, probably that's, I think, what entrepreneurs also should learn. You have seen a lot. I mean, you have run the probably driest deserts or climbed the highest mountain tops. From this perspective, what would be your advice to our audience of aspiring entrepreneurs?
Yeah, well, I did. See, Valerie, having been to, so I belong to, an elite club known as the Four Deserts Club, and the Four Deserts Club is it's a club of individuals who have run, walked, limbed, or crawled, usually in that particular order, the four of the deserts in this world, right? Of the Sahara Desert, the Gobi Desert, the Atacama Desert, and the Polar Desert of Antarctica. And I think as of now, there are only just over 200 people to have completed the series, totaling 1,000 kilometers.
Wow.
And one of the things that struck me going for these races was the kind of quality of individuals who were there. I mean, these were places where you would see people performing at the top of their game, whether it be, in the world of entrepreneurship and in business, or leading businesses, or venture capitalists. I mean, you get This is a place where you go and you see CEOs, presidents, entrepreneurs, millionaires, and people who are high performing in their fields. And that was the first thing that struck me. And very quickly I realized why, because the principles, the mindsets and the strategies for success in a physical multi-day ultra endurance race are the same principles, mindsets, and strategies for success in the multi-day ultra marathon of life and of business. It's just applied to a different game altogether, but it's the same principles, mindsets, and strategies.
Yeah.
And one of the things coming back, and I heard a lot coming back from these races, people would say things like, "Oh God, it's amazing what you've done. I can't do what you do." And I often say this, I think your statement is incomplete. It's not that you can't do what I do, or they can't do what I've done, because when you say I can't do that, then you're speaking in terms of your capability. I don't think what you're missing is in terms of capability. I think the full, more accurate sentence is, I can't think of a reason why I would want to do what you do. Right?
Yes.
Which is to say, well, what's the point of it all? What's the purpose, or what is the meaning behind, doing what you do? And I think that same kind of coaching question could be applied to entrepreneurs, or whether budding entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs who are going through a challenge or a hump, right? In that journey, is, why is it that you're doing all this again? Right? Coming to, your reference to Simon Sinek in the beginning of your why.
Yeah.
Right. Business, just like in many pursuits in life, is not easy. It's probably not meant to be easy. And that's where we look into, this word that people use a great deal of, right? This word called passion, right? And I think people misunderstand. I think it's been kind of fashionable in the last 30, 40 years in the self-development world to think of passion as this kind of like, yeah, I'm enjoying it. I woke up in the morning. It's like kind of animal passion, right? Like, yeah, I love what I'm doing. But it's not, right? And it's interesting. We're having this conversation in the week leading up to Good Friday and Easter, right? Holy Week.
Yeah.
And when we look at the word passion, and in the world of, in the study of the origins of word etymology, passion from the Latin root pati means suffering. Hence, when we make a reference to the passion of Jesus Christ, it wasn't Jesus going, yeah, I'm carrying my cross, go ahead, yeah, with me, I'm living this. Yes. It was the suffering of Jesus Christ. And so therefore, to be passionate about your life, to be passionate about business, it's rather than asking what's going to have me go, yeah, I love this. Ask yourself, what is worth suffering for? When the going gets hard, when the going gets tough, which it will, what is worth staying in the game for? What is worth suffering for? What is worth you getting up and doing it again? And that would be a question I will pose to entrepreneurs out there. If you're a budding, aspiring entrepreneur, have to think about, why do you want to do this? What is that vision that's worth suffering for? Or if you're going through a challenging time right now in your journey, it's super to stop and check in and go, okay, great. This, who was that? Randy Porsche, who gave the last lecture several years ago. He said, when you encounter the wall is there to remind you of why you want this, right? And also, if you're doing really well right now as an entrepreneur, and it's worth kind of stopping and thinking about, what is this all about? What is this business vision that's really bigger than me? So that would be the question that I'll pose out there, Valerie, which is, what's worth suffering for?
Yeah, that's a great question to answer before you are entering business, because I just feel, as you're referring to the world of personal development, also business development, as people always a little bit, how can I say, glamorize the industry, being entrepreneur, like financial freedom and all this kind of things that people are using to invite people in this world, but basically billing them to learn entrepreneurship, to be part of this, but nobody is speaking up about what does it take to be entrepreneur. Do they really want or meant to suffer? Are they born to be entrepreneurs? Because not everybody is supposed to. And also, if you cannot find an answer to this question, I think it's also fine for this time. It just also tells a lot. Maybe it's not something that you are looking for. But if you know why you are struggling, what you are struggling for, then just go for it.
Yeah. I mean, you use the word about glamorous, right? And yeah, I hear you. There are people coming and thinking, "Wow, it's glamorous. I'm financially free, or I'm a millionaire of this." I mean, when you think about the the business people, the entrepreneurs who have kind of like made it, so to speak, right? I'm not sure any of them came into this because it was glamorous, or in fact, it's business glamorous. And
I mean,
if
social
someone,
media, I look at the social media like, oh, I have now, I'm working from my pool, I have clients calls, I have this. This is different when you are sitting in the office and working from 9 to 5. From this perspective, it feels like, but it's just not the other side of the coin.
yeah, and you're an amazing successful entrepreneur with a greater longevity, right? In the work that you do, in the business that you do, and the hums and the bumps that you hit along the way. There was a great deal of suffering, and the fact that you keep bouncing back, Valerie, kind of resilient time and time again, suggests there's a very clear kind of sense of groundedness, rootedness with regards to why you're doing this. Because if you were in pursuit of glamour, you would have quit a long time ago. There are far easier things to do to look at glamorous.
I see a lot of people who are going back to maybe their job, or feeling like, well, actually, it's kind of disappointing things for them, losing self-belief also in a way. But it's not about that you're not capable. It's just maybe not your path, or maybe you still did not find for what you want to suffer for or be passionate about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and that's the thing, right? It's like, often, I mean, if you were to, I mean, you and I met in the kind of personal development world, and it's almost kind of like fashionable, right? For in that world, for people to say that, if you want to be financially free, or if you want to be rich and wealthy, the easiest way is to own a business, is to become a businessman, and so therefore don't work for a living. Well, yes, and maybe no at the same time. Business isn't necessarily for everyone, right? It may not suit your personality. It might not go in line with the lifestyle that you seek. It's not all kind of easy and glamorous and all that kind of good stuff. For every successful business out there are, dozens of failed businesses. So, you got to choose your right path, all right? And the right path is not the right path, but it's the right path for you. What is your right path? And I think a lot of people are trying to chase what other people are doing. Oh, look, there's an Instagram influencer who's got, X number of followers. I want to do that thing. Oh, look at him. He's gone into the tech space, and I want to be like, oh, look at her. She's scaling and she's looking so glamorous. And so people are climbing all these ladders as fast as they can, only to get to at some point and then realize the ladder is leaning against the wrong wall. And it's not the wall meant for them.
Yeah. Well, from, let's say, glamorous things going back to reality, and now again kind of bouncing back to the point. I read one of your posts the other day in Facebook, and by the way, I need to say that you're actually sharing a lot of things in social media in terms of, if people want to learn, be inspired, get a lesson, I think they can find you in Facebook. Maybe you want to share some other social media platforms. We can leave the links in the description box, because I found it very interesting. You said you shared the story when you started as a speaker, and you shared your like big goals and vision with a person who you were admiring so much and who told you that you know you are so unrealistic, just like, you know, cutting wings. And I know this experience, like when I started my very first business, and there was also a person whom I was respecting so much, admiring so much, and he just really cut my wings. And I was like feeling, oh my gosh, all my vision, all what I'm like was building, all this business plan is kind of bullshit. This kind of feeling. And I like what you said, that okay, at the first time you just took these words personally, but at the same time you also made a decision, never like allow anybody's words, opinions, maybe even actions to affect your vision, your dreams, and you just decided to go for that. Maybe you found this passion, what you want to struggle for, but look, nowadays you are just charging, I don't know, maybe 10 times more than you were talking about many years ago. But in general, you achieved your goal despite all this processes and disappointment in a way. So
yeah, I think that the key thing I say is sometimes it's be careful who you listen to. And it's easy to say, okay, choose not to listen to the naysayers, right? The people who are just, you know, on the sidelines, you know, the couch critics, right? Now it's easier to say, okay, well, don't listen to them. But sometimes your very own kind of mentors or your gurus or your advisors and people whom you respected the most, you know, understand that they too are human beings, understand that they too come from their own experiences. And their experiences is their truth, but it's not necessarily the truth. And it's not right or wrong or good or bad. It just is, right? And so, you know, when you have this sense of kind of conviction around, you know, what's going to get you out of bed and, you know, why is that thing worth pursuing, at the very least, you're going to get out there, you're going to have one heck of an adventure. Right? And that is an experience of life. That is the adventure of life that fills one with enthusiasm. So what is it they're going out there to pursue, and who are you bringing along the way? You know, we just you know, being a Singaporean kind of Chinese, one of the things, you know, over the Chinese New Year period is looking at your astrology, right? Like, you know, you've got the year of the rat, the year of the pig, and, you know, you kind of go like, well, you know, what's this year like for me? What's this year like for me? And I realized one thing, it depends on which book or which website that you go to. And sometimes they could say quite different things about the same animal, right, for that year. And you kind of go like, were you guys reading from were you looking at the wrong stars, or, you know, did the same star tell you different things? And so what I do now, what I've come to do, Valerie, is I go, whether it's a book or online, I look at what the different astrologers are writing, and then I believe the one that I want to listen to. And I go like, I kind of like this version the best, right? Because this one's the best one for me. And then I tend to that. And to me, that's, you know, that's the one I want to listen to, right? And yeah, where your attention goes, you begin to put your attention, you put your energies towards creating that. So, you know, what is it that you want to create?
Yeah, well, this is a great example of how you can navigate your reality. Just choose what you want to believe into, whom you want to believe. Yeah, so you have a lot of people actually who believe to you because you have a very powerful and amazing community. So you are coaching coaches. So what would be one thing that entrepreneurs should start prioritizing, or in a way adapting in their life, that you have learned while you were coaching other coaches?
I think one of the things I hear a lot of from clients is, you know, we are multidimensional as human beings, right? You know, and we take a look at you, for example, right? You are you're an amazing entrepreneur, you're a wonderful mother, a wife, you've got we've got multiple dimensions going on for us, right? Our relationships, our health goals, our money goals, our business goals. And, one of the things that, we want to be looking at here is how can my goals be in harmony with one another? Because oftentimes people come into this sort of a balance. I need to balance my role as, say, a mother versus my role as an entrepreneur. And so my problem with the word balance is like a seesaw, right? We have a seesaw and we're trying to balance.
Yeah.
The very act of balancing means that for one side to go up, the other side needs to go down. In other words, we put ourselves in a kind of win-lose type of position. I've got a pair of glasses here, not quite a seesaw, but this here, right? For one side to go up, the other side needs to go down. So it's a win-lose kind of effect. And one of the ways I like to kind of like see us harmonizing our goals is, instead of looking at this as, well, I want to balance this, and that is to say, this side can go up with this side needing to come down. And it might look something like this. And so now that brings us therefore to this thing called priority. Now there's always a priority of tasks. That is to say, at any one point in time, I can only be doing one thing, right? So I'm prioritizing, say, my task. Right now, I'm in a podcast with you. This is a business interview, if you like. So this is a priority right now, which is to say, what? Well, my family is doing something else. So at this point, I'm prioritizing my task. But that's not to say that I'm prioritizing my business over my family. So I'm not prioritizing my goals because my family is just as important as my business, which brings us back to here, whereby wherever we are with regards to business and family, both can win if we are seeing them in a form of harmony. That, in fact, me doing better in my business, make sure that I'm a better husband, better, family man. And at the same time, the better I work at being a husband and family man, the better I become at leading my business and leading the people in my business. Then in harmony, one actually serves the other one. And I would encourage, our entrepreneurs out there, whether you're a man, woman, new or old, or whatever that might be here, is, allow yourself just that moment of, that paradigm shift, of seeing that possibility of not so much in balance, but really in harmonizing your goals, and therefore prioritizing your tasks versus prioritizing your goals.
That's great advice, because so many people are talking about equilibrium, balance, whatever you want to call it. But when you imagine, as you said, like seesaw, and I was just imagining a multi-dimensional seesaw, when you have so many priorities, have so many roles and tasks, it's just feeling, oh my gosh, I'm going to explode, right? Especially when we have an infinite flow of information on top of this. But what you've just said, I think, it's just like so much important to let this energy flow in all directions that will eventually allow you to be better performer in anything what you're doing. And talking about energy, I believe our listeners can hear this. People who are watching us on YouTube can see your energy, and it's like a, I don't know, Duracell bunny. So that is, share your secret with us.
It's interesting you were talking about this. In my community in the coaching hand, we've got this thing called the 12 agreements, which is agreements that fall in line with 12 virtues. And I set it up as, the 12 agreements, and each agreement taking 3 weeks to, for us to, not just consume and understand what the 12 agreements are, but to actually put into practice, to actually cultivate that particular virtue, right? So 3 weeks times 12 takes us to about 9 months, right? Which incidentally, it's the same amount of time that a gestation period for a mother to, from conception to birth. So I look at the 12 agreements, 12 virtues as birthing a new year. And I was just preparing for this virtue called enthusiasm. right? And to, if we, again, coming back to, enthusiasm, the origins in en, which means in, theos, in God. That means it's a sort of divine inspiration, right? That is our energy. And I'm actually preparing for that this afternoon. Now you're asking me this question here about energy. Where is our energy directed towards? Now, you mentioned this thing about this having this infinite amount of information. There's so much out there. For me, it's about where are we shining the light? Where are we shining our energy on? Many years ago, I was doing a tour a speaking tour in India, and I got to know this man, Sujit Kumar, who runs a foundation helping put poor children to school. And he told this story of this little girl from a village in India, and what she would do during the day is to help her family sell beads. They basically kind of string beads together, and they sell them for something like 10 rupees, which is kind of next to nothing, really. And this girl also happened to score in the top 1% in the national examinations for physics. And one day Sujit went to this, girl's home in the village and visited her family, and they were having dinner together. And after dinner, the girl went to this part of the house because it's pretty much like a run room type of place, and she started studying. And he went and he watched her for a little while, and he noticed that on a table, she only could afford a lamp, right? This little small lamp. And he went up to her, and there's by now nighttime. And he goes up to her and he goes like, it must be really hard for you, right? To just have this one lamp casting such limited light, around you, to be, otherwise outside of the reach of lamp, you really can't see anything. And this little child's wisdom, and she said, oh, no, you don't understand. She goes, actually, it's good that I only have one lamp. You see, because in the limited light of this lamp, I can only see two things, my beads and my physics textbook. There's nothing else in my attention, which is to say there's nothing else to distract me. We're living in a time of infinite information, near infinite means of accessing the information, right? Social media, apps, and news sites, and this and that and the other, and we get pulled in so many different directions. What are some of these lights we need to turn off? What are some of these sources of information? What are some of these, things that are here trying to grab our energy, trying to get our attention, that we need to turn off, so that our energy is directed towards what is important, what's here right now. For me, as I'm speaking to you, my attention just purely on you, purely on us, purely is conversation right now. I'm not trying to access social media. I'm not looking outside my window. I'm not looking, I'm just here. And when I'm just here, right, that's where my energy flows here, right? My energy is not dissipated right now, focused, attended, right? Being here, right now. So for me, I think, part of that secret, if you like, is to turn off those lights, right? Turn off those little, near infinite things that want my attention right now, and go like, no, I'm here right now. I'm ready to go, right? Just like a 100-meter, world champion sprinter, right? Just seeing that one thing. It could be 50, 60,000 people in a stadium, no matter. I'm seeing right down this barrel of my lane towards my finish line. And so that's what gives me enthusiasm as well. It's very directed, it's very focused. And one of the things I do for myself each day, Valerie, I want to make sure that the first person I see in the morning or during my day is a cheerful one, one who puts me in a good mood. And I want to be in control of that 100%. So what do? The first person I see is going to be the person in the mirror. And I'll make sure that person in the mirror is going to be the positive. Yeah, exactly. I want that person in the mirror to be that person is the first person I see. Got to be cheerful, got to be positive. And what I do, I smile at myself in the mirror, and then from that, I feed off that. Just this past weekend, I went running. Every time I go jogging, I'm meeting people in the direction. And I keep count, right, of the people whom I interact with, the people whom I smile at. You know, it could be a nod, it could be a wave, it could be a smile. And when that gets returned, it's amazing. It's amazing. And you know, there's this you know, pretty elderly man who is you know, in this part of you know, where I live, and it's a public kind of, we call it the PCN, the public park connector networks, right? And it's a network of paths, cycling, running paths that connects various parts of Singapore. And this is an old man there. I see him every week, every time I go jogging, right? In the weekends, typically. And he's sweeping the floor, right? And he's sweeping the ground, and it's, you know, in the midday sun, his, you know, probably looks older than he actually is, right? He's kind of wrinkled, you know, always sweating and hot, and no one pays him any kind of direction. And I always get such joy and such a kick. I'll go past him and I'll go like, "Uncle, good morning, uncle." Right? And he turns around, he's like, you know, and all of a sudden this kind of like, almost like a frowning, tired man just bursts into this childlike smile. And in that moment, someone sees him, someone notices him, someone acknowledges his presence. And, you know, I feed off that. And I go like, wow, yeah, you know, I just made someone's day, or at least someone's moment. And that in return makes my moment. So yeah, a couple of things that I engage in on a daily practice, Valerie, with regards to my enthusiasm, with regards to my energy, that keeps me going.
That's great advice. Thank you very much for sharing this. And lighting up not just, you know, your life, but lighting up lives of so many people every single day. And you know, I hope that every single person will start to really focusing on great things, even if there's kind of mess going on in the world, whatever is going on, there's always good part of this, and asking yourself, what is a good lesson, what is the good perspective, what is a great thing I can take from this, is really will help you to move forward on your path and build you up as a resilient, passionate personality. So thank you very much for sharing so many great things today, and tools, strategies to keep going for what you want.
Yeah, keep going, and start paying attention to different metrics, right? I think, you know, business kind of entrepreneurs, the easiest metric to look at is, you know, revenue or profits, you know, income. And I believe the more successful you become, the more your success depends on making other people successful, which brings us back to, why do you begin your business in the first place? What is the problem you're looking to solve? In what way are you making the world a better place? You know, I train coaches, or I coach coaches, and one of the things I tell them is, you know, whenever you're doing any kind of a program, and some of them will go out and they'll do webinars or they do seminars, you know, they're trying to fill the room. And one of the things I train them to, I say this: I know you're going out there and you want to get 100 people, 500 people, 1,000 people into your room so that you can teach and serve them. But if only one person shows up, you still give it your all. You still give it that 100%, because you have no idea what difference you're going to be making to that person's life. You have no idea what is the story behind that person. And they could be that in that point in time where they just need you the most. So it's not the number of people in the room. It's the degree to which you have served them, the degree to which you've made a meaningful impact in their life.
On this note, just like at the end, I always ask my guests to put themselves on the position of creator, because I believe we are all creators of our own universe. So as Thaddeus, creator, what would be your message to all the people who are listening or watching us? What your voice would like to project and anyhow light up?
Well, I'm gonna wrap up with a story here, and it's a story I heard from Tara Brach, and she was telling the story of this, and this is in the US. There was this young man who was in college, and he was the quarterback in their football team. And in American colleges, the quarterback is like the star player, right? He's the cool dude. He's the one that the girls want to date, and he's he's the man, right? And this quarterback was heading home one day, and while he was heading home, he saw this geeky fella from his college, right, carrying this kind of load of books. And as he noticed this geeky little fella walking, there was a whole bunch of kids who came up and then knocked this guy to the ground, knocked the kid to the ground, and started taunting him, shoved him, kicked his books all over the place, and then they just ran off, right? Just like a bunch of cowardly bullies. And this quarterback kind of looked and he thought, let me go help this boy up, right? So he helped the boy to his feet, gathered his books up, dusted him down and said, "Are you okay?" And the boy said, "Yeah, I'm fine, I'm okay." He goes, "Okay, where are you headed?" He says, "I'm going home." He said, "Where do you live?" And as it turns out, they live in the same neighborhood. So the quarterback tells the geek, he says, "Okay, right, I'm living there as well. Let me help you with some of your books with you, okay?" So they started walking and started getting to know each other. And the quarterback thought, "Hey, this geeky guy is a pretty cool dude, right? This is a pretty nice guy." And so that was the start of their friendship. After that, the quarterback invited a geek into his own, friends and a community, and they hung out together and became best mates. And a couple of years later at graduation, this geek was the college valedictorian, right? And as a valedictorian, you give a speech at graduation. And he started off his speech this way. He said, "Look, a valedictorian, normally when we give a speech, we thank the people in our lives. We thank our parents, we thank our teachers." He says, I want to do all that, but I want to thank a friend here. And he says, "What I'm about to share with you, my friend doesn't even know as well until now." And this geek, valedictorian, told a story of that day where he had been bullied, where his books knocked out of his hand. And this star quarterback came and welcomed him and, essentially became his friend. And after he's related his story, he said, "My friend didn't know this, that on that day, I was actually on my way home to kill myself. I was struggling with school. I was struggling with trying to fit in. I was struggling with this entire transition at this stage of my life. And he didn't know it then, but his intervention literally saved my life. And I'm standing here today because of all that happened." And since, in fact, I was carrying my books home that day because I knew that if I killed myself at home, my mom would have had to go to school to collect my books. And I didn't want her to go through that. That's why I was bringing my books home. By the time he finished the story, there was not a dry eye, in this graduation day. You never know when you are making an impact on someone.
Yeah.
The things you do, the things you say, the things you don't do, the things that you don't say. Somehow, somewhere, someone is being moved, being touched. The question is how.
So much.
And you do that. Yeah, absolutely. And we can do that through the vehicle of business. We also do that through this thing called life. And every single time we come into someone's space or someone comes into our space. So that's a story I'd like to kind of end here with, Valerie. We just have no idea all the time. No idea.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Well, it's a beautiful story and actually reminder for every single person let's start to keep ourselves accountable for what we say, what we do, how we interact, what we bring into this world. So I want to thank one more time, Thaddeus, for investing your time and sharing your knowledge, wisdom, inspiration, encouragement, everything what people were feeling while listening it or watching it. And I want to thank everybody who are contributing to this mission to encourage and light up the path of as many entrepreneurs as possible to really help them make their vision come true. If you resonate with this, like, subscribe, and share. And we see each other in the next episode.